Hello and welcome back to the Son of the Morning Comics channel, and I hope you're all ready for another episode of Which X-Men Are Evil? As I have mentioned in previous videos, I'm sure I'm not the only one to opine on this, that since the X-Men have moved to Krakoa, they're kind of acting a lot like villains. A few of them I've given a pass so far, including Cyclops. I think Cyclops is one of the good ones. Now, before we get into it, I will say this is a very different cover than the previous X-Men issues that have come out from Jonathan Hickman. Now, this cover is a little bit busy, and that's generally not something that I'm fond of. But I do like this cover, and I do like Cyclops' beam flowing into the sky. There's clearly a battle scene going on, and it appears there's some New Mutants. Now, I mentioned something along these lines in a previous video where when I was reading one of these offshoot X-Men series number ones, that it made me very, very angry. I'll tell you right now that was New Mutants number one. They were basically acting like petulant children and got themselves into a world of trouble that was all their own doing. It really annoyed me to the fact that I wasn't willing to read New Mutants number 2. So it looks like we're gonna have some New Mutants in this issue, so let's open her up and see what's happening. See what kind of nonsense the New Mutants are getting themselves into. So they're off on a space trip and they find this here, which is referred to as a king egg. And it is their quote-unquote booty that they have from space. Now, of course, there's gonna be ramifications to anything that the New Mutants do because they tend to not be the smartest. So what happens is that they had stolen this from a Shire graveyard, which then, of course, leads to all of these creatures wanting to know where the king egg has gone to. And so we will flip the page, and we can see that there's all sorts of terrible monsters. They are the 1,000 queens that are all after the king egg. Now, same thing as before, I'll mention it again. I've been looking at these X-Men stories from Hickman as standalone issues for my own sake, because I just find them to be a lot more digestible that way. Now, as you can see, we definitely have some New Mutants in the fray here, but we also have Cyclops, who we think is good, and also Havoc, so far unknown, and Jean Grey. I'm not trusting Jean Grey just yet. But this is our team for this particular issue. And then we get some of Hickman's little writing here. He's mentioning how Black Bolt was killed in a T-bomb detonation, and so was Vulcan or Gabriel Summers. But it would appear that at very least Gabriel is still alive. One thing I will say before I continue, I'm very much a fan of the art that they're using in these X-Men series. I love the colors, love the drawings, don't necessarily love the stories. So we flip the page here, and Havoc and Cyclops are sort of, not very pleased with the New Mutant people here who have decided to party and get drunk. But Gabriel has responsibilities, so Havoc and Cyclops collect him. At which point they sort of start to realize something is not right. as he mentions here, we have, what's this dude's name again? Very sorry, I don't want to mix it up with the other things that they've been talking about. Is it Brew? Is his name Brew? I think his name's Brew. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure. I feel like an idiot. This is why you do your research ahead of time. Yes, Brew. So, Brew notices that there is something problematic going on. The light's kinda... You can see it. Let's see. Right there. He says, what are you doing with that? With what? Is the response. And he says, with the king egg. So he automatically knows that this is a problem and that all of the queens are going to be seeking out this king egg because that's just what they do. And of course, all of these monsters show up, of course being the fault of the New Mutants. What else is new? And their response is, oh boy. So they decide that they need to fight off these creatures. Now you can see here, more fighting off creatures, more fighting off creatures. Then there's an interesting little interplay between Jean Grey and Cyclops. Cyclops says, what's the word, Jean? She responds, the council knows there are also about 30 telepaths I'm coordinating with. 2 strike teams are incoming. I'm doing what I can to keep everything calm and orderly, but we're still going to lose people. And Cyclops' reaction is, let me see what I can do about that. You know why he says that? Because he's still a hero. And so, they're trying to take out these beasts. Of course, they are ultimately after this king egg, and I don't know if I mentioned it previously, but they mention in the story that these queens can sniff out a king egg from galaxies away. So Cyclops wants to get them out of there, get the king egg out of there. And then he's got the king egg, and he has a little conversation with Jean. I'll just read it to you. He says, excuse me. And Jean replies, I'm a little bit busy, Brew. Can this possibly wait? And his response is, not really. I know why the brood are here. I know how to stop them. And then she said, well, now you've got my attention. And so basically, she then contacts Scott telepathically. He tells her that he's a little bit busy right now. Can this wait? She says no. And that she explains she knows why the brood are here. So, at any rate, we'll flip the page here. You can see in the corner that Brew and Jean are running with the King Ed through the Krakoan portal, knowing that these monsters will not be able to follow. They get in their ship with the King Ed, head for the moon, and then off from the moon to get it to a safe place. Now here we get more of Hickman's stuff. We talked about this earlier. Now Black Bolt, who is presumed dead, as we know he doesn't speak, but he is now believed to be alive, and as we know, in the same explosion, Gabriel Summers, or Vulcan, whatever you want to call him, who is believed to have died in the fault, is still alive. So we flip the page here, and then we have a situation now where there's an accuser who is after the same King Egg because he feels that it has been promised to him. And pretty much they, get away with it for now, but ultimately not too much happens. Here we have, I'll read it to you. Smasher believes accuser is here now. Yeah, we know that already. And that his intention is unknown. We know that his intention isn't unknown. And the response is, an accuser? Reload your rifle, son. New target. What are we hunting now, Dad? He responds. Better game. So that would be the end of this issue. As I said, the modern New Mutants are really not my thing. If we're talking about the original Claremont New Mutants, all for that. But, like I said, I just couldn't stand in New Mutants 1 just how, for lack of a better term, how dumb the New Mutants are. They haven't proven themselves to be any smarter in this book. I'd have to say, out of the 8 X-Men titled series books from Hickman, this one was probably by far my least favorite. Now, I'm a huge X-Men fan, so I will probably stick through it through at least number 9. But I gotta say, not recommending this one. You can skip this one. Nothing exciting is happening here. Kinda formulaic. At any rate, thank you for joining me here on the Son of the Morning Comics channel. If you like what we're doing here, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Hey, have some comments down below, that's always appreciated. Be nice to each other, make fun of me if you need to, doesn't bother me one bit. At any rate, we'll see you next time.